I'm Pete Cashmore. I'm the founder and CEO at Mashable.com.
I'm Kate Hayden, events assistant.
Really quick.
I'm Jennifer Van Grove, startups reporter for.
What's your name?
My name is Trina, and I head up social strategy at Beachmint. Our first vertical is live at jewelmint.com. It's personalized shopping.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tilly with Wondercan.
Yourself, please.
Hi, this is Frank Elias, and many of you knew me as Comcast Cares. Today I'm the Senior Vice President of Social Media for Citibank.
Yourself.
I'm Joseph Jaffe, author of a few books, including Flip the Funnel. Jaffe Juice is my blog, Jaffe Juice TV, and basically a loud, foul-mouthed guy.
David Armano, Senior Vice President with Element Digital. I also blog at Logic Plus Emotion.
Hey, what's up? I'm Jamal Henderson, brand manager of Briscoe's Tea.
Greg Crosby, you know me.
Greg Crosby from where?
From Google.
Okay, so I'm Reeve Thompson. I have a company called the Department of Behavior and Logic, and we make Cabana.
So I'm Ben Wers. I'm Director of Business Consulting for the Knight Foundation.
My name is AJ Vaynerchuk, and I'm co-founder of a social media strategy shop called VaynerMedia. Please.
Yes, I'm Gary Vay Nerdchuk, and I'm co-founder of VaynerMedia.
Hi, my name is Tim Brunell, and T Brunell on Twitter.
I'm Matt Dickman, at Matt Dickman on Twitter.
So I think what's already happening is social is acting as a catalyst. I wouldn't say it is the cause, but I'd say it's an enabler of a great deal of social change right now in the Middle East. We've seen it kind of rolling on. It's now in Libya, and we're obviously, glued to the TV set to see what's happening there. But all the way from Tunisia to Egypt and onwards, I think what's really interesting about that stuff is that it's really just a very slight change in enabling technology that is allowing people to congregate around a common idea, getting the strength from other people to understand that they're not the only ones who are frustrated with what's going on in those countries. We're really seeing a kind of a democratization going on. And I think social is the enabling technology for that much change. It's something that we didn't even expect, and we're the most optimistic about social media that anyone could be. And we were even a bit pessimistic about, okay, can this really change the world? Can this take regimes which have been, fairly locked down and turn them over to the people? And that's really what's happening.
Still in location-based services, so we've only really seen the start of that. There's really not a lot of traction yet, but there will be. Foursquare 3.0 is a fantastic application, and they're going down the right road with recommendations. And the American Express partnership they did was really kind of interesting, exciting, and possibly the future of loyalty. So big deal. But there's so much opportunity in location. I think people will really feel differently about location sharing in 2 to 3 years. But then of course you also have like object tagging, which is probably more like 5 years out. So linking digital to physical through tagging objects and photos and that kind of stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of startups in that space.
I'd say 1 to 2 years from now, everybody's going to be doing what Starbucks is doing with their pay by phone.
Right. But NFC also. So Starbucks does a 2D barcode sort of scan via application. It's really cool. I love using it. I go to Starbucks more because of it. And so that's kind of going to be a transition technology until more phones have NFC technology, which goes back to the whole location stuff that I was kind of...
I think currency through Facebook. Facebook credits, I think, is the next step for something that could change the entire game. Just last week, Warner Brothers and Facebook did something where I could rent The Dark Knight right on Facebook with 1 click, and that's pretty game-changing in my opinion. I think there's going to be a lot of commerce driven through Facebook because people trust the Facebook logo. It's becoming such an inherent and just massive part of everybody's life, and if they can manage to take the ecosystem and convert that into paying customers, I think that's a major game changer over the next year.
I mean, I think what changes things is just making things more mobile. It's just incredible what you can get in your pocket or in your handheld or in your iPad today. I think that where it used to be information was harder to get, you can get it in seconds in anything in your pocket. And I really think that's a game changer. Dennis Crowley gave a really good talk. That was one of the best talks. He was one of the founders of Foursquare. He was interviewed by Pete Cashmore from Mashable. He was talking about that your phone can be even smarter and can analyze whether you're sitting or you're walking or you're standing or what are you doing and find out where you are location based and give you suggestions of the things you can do based on where you are and what you happen to be doing, what things you're doing, and give you really smart recommendations based on your friends and your activity in the past. So I think that having much more information at your fingertips and making you smarter, I think can potentially be a game changer.
Everything though.
I think changing everything, you're going to see a lot more social integrated into devices directly, not applications, but straight into the device, so it knows where you are, who you're with, instantly. Starts recommending things.
The end of intermediaries and the rise of infomediaries. So if you can add levels of value and utility, think about augmented reality, that does have the potential to change everything. Instead of middlemen, which add layers and obstacles in between, the source and its intended target, whether it's marketers to customers or whether it's, in times of crisis, being able to find your loved ones. And so, to that end, I don't know, maybe will we see more RFID? One thing that I did find interesting, again, going back to what Dennis Crowley had to say was, unfortunately, during times of crisis, the first thing to go is internet connectivity. So maybe mobile will play a better role, but still, when the network goes down, all bets are off in terms of the power of technology.
I think blowing up is going to blow up. No. I think that that sounds kind of like just looking for a catchphrase or a soundbite. But actually, what I mean by that is all these platforms that are coming out, right, are not sustainable. We can't take on another Foursquare. We can't take on another, how many, so now we have text grouping, so there's only so many of these things that we can actually take on. So less emphasis on bright and shiny objects, more emphasis on sustainable platforms.
What can change it?
Yeah.
Look, I think someone has to close, this is biased because it's my business, but I think someone has to close the loop with regard to consumer goods companies that don't have brick and mortar spaces. So I thought it was going to be geolocation. It doesn't feel like it's going to be that.
Not yet. But it could.
It could be. But someone has to close that loop. And until someone does that, I talked to a guy that, here who thinks he has that. But essentially that's the thing. It's like when you can help me tie digital behavior to purchase, and I can prove that out. And it has to be brick to forehead for CEOs that are dinosaurs. Yeah. When you can do that, you'll be.
Square's off the fucking chain. Yeah. It's the cleverest little doohickey I have ever seen.
Yeah.
The fact that I can clever little doohickey. I'm in love with Square and Uber.
You like Uber?
Oh, Uber's. I won't get around without them. Have you tried one of their Uber cabs at South by?
I have.
Is that not the most clever thing?
That's an easy one for me because I feel very passionate right now about the message behind Flip the Funnel, but it's really customer service and customer experience. And I think the point here is it's not your grandfather's or grandmother's customer service. No more your call be answered in the order it was received, no more FAQs, no more autoresponders, but this ability to really just respond to customers, in real time. I hate to use the buzzword, and be able to solve their problems, but it's also not just about, it's also just not about problems anymore, because is it customer service or is it servicing customers? Advocacy is a big deal, right? If you can harness passion and advocacy, then retention truly can become the new acquisition. And so that's why I wrote a book called Flip the Funnel, because the funnel should be getting bigger over time, not smaller. Our investment, our marketing investment, should not be diminishing over time. That's campaigns. It should be increasing in terms of momentum exponentially. So I definitely, you've seen some of the announcements with Foursquare. Dennis Crowley, the CEO, said that it's all about retention. This is what I'm saying. The fact that we're going to invest in our lifeblood of our business. The only reason we have marketing budgets, which are customers. So that's what I would safely predict is going to continue to get increasing share of what.
A little further, focusing more on the customer and the customer experience as opposed to trying to sell them on things, and really build a relationship. I also think you'll see a big spike up in social CRM capabilities, where the value of all this information that is available out there, brands start to recognize and understand they can get to know their customers in a means that the customer wants to know about them. And so it's a totally different way of viewing things, but I think we'll see a lot of that.
I think what's going to probably change everything is, at least what I really think is, it's not that it's going to change everything. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a crack in the thinking that's going to change everything. I think people are going to start realizing that the end user and the consumer is actually king. You know, we've heard about that forever, right? I love my customer. Customer's everything. And I don't think people really have lived that. I really don't. I think it's been a whole lot of bullshit. And I think there's a crack in that infrastructure. All these cool marketers think they're so smart. And now that the consumers have such a collective voice, they start realizing very quickly, the second after their Super Bowl commercial runs, that they're not that smart, that they're not that good. And I just wonder what's going to happen to scaling caring. I'm fascinated by that, and I think I'm starting to see the early cracks of that becoming a true infrastructure.
And for me, the most exciting thing really is the ability, you know, like everyone at Google talks about changing the world and the ability to change the world. And one of the things we've seen is I think Google helped get the world to a state by disseminating information and showing people, like in the web in general, but help get people to the point where they're like, look, why is my life different than these other people's lives and stuff like this? Why don't we have the same freedom as these other people? But it was pretty amazing how social media actually brought it to the head and, you know, make it all come to action. Of course, there was a Googler who helped do that in Egypt, which I'm also proud of. But in marketing, by the way. So,
all right.
Never enough people tell you that marketers can't do this. Speak to tweet, absolutely incredible. You know, we bought that company and like I think it was the next day they pushed that out. Or 2 days later or something, but absolutely incredible. I mean, talk about turning something around and having a real impact on politics and you know, geopolitical situations. I think that's really interesting. I mean, but like at the fundamental level, it's about a lot of the work that most people at Google care about is bringing freedom and knowledge to people who either just, you know, thirst it in general or don't get it and really need it. And we're not about necessarily disrupting governments and things like that, but bringing freedom to people who don't have it is obviously a pretty good stuff. I studied political science and international relations, and so it's just weird to think that going, you know, like 3 months ago or something, my alumni newsletter like asked me to do an interview, and they're like, what are you doing related to your major? I'm like, absolutely nothing. It's got nothing to do with my major. But it's 3 months later, it has everything to do with my major. So it's, you know what I mean? It's pretty wild.
Yeah, citizen journalism. I mean, so you can look at Egypt, look at Libya, look at you know, those kind of examples, and you know, even Al Jazeera, which is not it's not a new technology, it's not even a new kind of organization, it's just in a new place, right? I mean, so that kind of access is definitely changing the world. I think, you know, in the U.S. context, which is where we're more focused, citizen journalism by itself is not enough, right? Because there's so many people talking right now that you know, that it's not a problem of getting more information. It's a problem of sort of curating that information and providing lenses and filters that sort of make that information make sense. Because, you know, the traditional lenses and filters were newspapers, and again, they're just not able to.
The theme or this trend that I'm really excited about is kind of the democratization of production. And this happens both on the software side. You're seeing things that allow everyday people to make websites. I mean, my company is about everyone being able to make apps. But the thing I also get really excited about is that on the hardware side. And you start having small batch manufacturing and people that are able to come up with designs and start building stuff and you know, outsourcing it either to, you know, to China to do these things, or with the like MakerBot that allows you to 3D print. Just the ability for people to be able to make hardware is something that has not existed. Go out. We're very used to a consumer-oriented culture around those kinds of things, but going to a creator kind of culture around technology and around gadgets and that kind of stuff, I think is amazing. I mean, Quirky is a company that does that, and that's just awesome.
I thought the game layer was pretty interesting. The game mechanics for the influencing human behavior on a large scale was pretty exciting. That was cool.
You know, as game designers, what we spend a lot of time doing is trying to tap into those emotional needs and desires, and how do you create a game around tapping into that stuff and really making an experience that feels worthwhile and exciting and that you gain a lot of value from. So at the end of the day, you feel like you've really accomplished something.
And one of those layers that you're talking about?
I think gamification is definitely a game changer. I really do. I think you know, there's a lot of hype, and you know, maybe the level of hype is a little bit beyond or ahead of where the reality is. But there's no question that you can create a level of engagement with games that is just very interesting and necessary for online publications to be able to kind of survive and get the kind of the page views and the uniques that they really need.
Directly, there are all these things we have to do let's turn them into things we want to do, right? And gamification can allow that to happen because it taps into what brings us satisfaction. You know, whether it's completion of a task or reward, that kind of thing. That's just an exciting thing.
Change everything.
What's going to change everything? People who want to change things and that are willing to take the necessary risks. And I was just at a session about fear and the art of creativity, and it's essentially like what's going to change things are the people who want to change things.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Okay, so what would change everything would be...
Caring.
Excellent. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.